If there's something we know the internet loves, that's cat people. What could be better than a cute fluffy cat girl? How about a cute buff warrior cat girl with sharp fangs and a hunter's spirit? If, like us, you think that's pretty awesome, you'll be excited to meet the Cathar, Star Wars' most beloved furries. These cat people were known for their ferocity and honor, which made them fearless warriors. Unfortunately for them, however, their fierceness made them the perfect target for a not so honorable group of fighters. In today's video, we'll be talking about the Cathar, their society, and how they were almost wiped out by the Mandalorians' selfish dogma.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
The Cathar were a species of feline humanoids native to the planet Cathar. They stood between 1.5 and 1.9 meters tall and were covered in fur with thick manes instead of hair. Their feline features extended to more cat-like traits such as powerful retractable claws, vertical pupils, and triangular ears that peeked out through their shaggy manes. Their faces were also shaped differently to a human's. They had flat nasal bridges that ended in feline noses, whiskers, and a mouthful of sharp fangs. There were two subspecies, known as the Juhani and Myro, which had evolved to retain fewer cat-like traits. As a species, Cathar were known for their passion, loyalty, and honor. They experienced their emotions to the max, which made them passionate, protective parents or fierce warriors with fiery tempers. Above all else, they valued their communities and families. When they found their other half, Cathar mated for life, to the point where if one partner died, the other would never find another. Baby Cathar were referred to as kits, and a group of kits was called a litter. They lived in city trees, which were similar to the way Wookiees built their homes. Cathar raised their young in tight-knit communities organized in clans that were each led by an elder. To remember the stories of their great ancestors, artwork was carved into the city trees for all to see. From a very young age, kids were taught by their parents and their community to respect their morals and values, to hunt and use their claws, and to respect their ways and traditions. Amongst themselves, Cathar spoke Catharese, a language that used both words and vocalizations like growls to convey meaning. When Cathar spoke Basic, it was with a Slavic-like accent characterized by rolled R's, W's that sounded like V's, and a husky voice. Cathar itself was a rugged planet with the vast savannas on which the Cathar liked to hunt. Although they were fully capable of using weapons, they were especially proud of their hand-to-hand combat skills. Their muscular frames and claws made them fierce hunters who stalked their prey and hunted in groups to take down even large prey, such as the giant horned hopper, a species of bipedal hopping herbivorous mammal. A ritual commonly practiced was that of the blood hunt. During a blood hunt, a Cathar would engage in single combat against prey and take them down. Through drawing blood, the Cathar warrior earned honor and purged themselves of inner turmoil. This was a channel for the Cathar's more primal instincts. When a warrior was getting high on bloodlust or passion, a blood hunt would keep clear their heads and sate their inner predator. Cathar could be force sensitive and often became Jedi, even if the Jedi Order's values were diametrically opposed to the Cathar's natural instincts. Cathar Jedi had to be especially mindful of their flaring passions so as to avoid falling to the dark side, like what happened to Credo. They were such proud, brave warriors that it really was no surprise they drew the attention of the Mandalorians. Before we go further into the story, it's important to take a look at Mandalorian society as it evolved during and after the Great Sith Wars. During the Great Sith Wars, Mandalore the Indomitable led the Mandalorians into battle on the side of the Sith. Alongside Exar Kun's forces, the Mandalorians ravaged many worlds before the Republic and the Jedi Order managed to stop them. In this conflict, the Cathar allied themselves with the Republic and managed several key victories over the Mandalorians. By the end of the war, the Mandalorians were greatly reduced in numbers. Many of them had died, including the vast majority of the Tongs, the OG Mandalorian species. Mandalore the Indomitable's successor, Mandalore the Ultimate, inherited a ragtag group of wartime leftovers he had to somehow organize and turn into the fierce, powerful force that had once been the Mandalorian army. To boost their numbers, he opened recruitment up to alien species for the first time and pushed for heavy recruitment drives on many worlds. Under his command, the Mandalorians recovered most of their previous strength, ranks bolstered by young warriors eager to prove themselves. When the true Sith came calling and proposed a new alliance to take on the Republic, of course they couldn't say no, but they weren't ready just yet. Before launching an assault on the Republic, the Mandalorians went for the Outer Rim, tearing a path through the weaker territories. They conquered multiple planets, took slaves, and sucked them dry of all their valuable resources to prepare for the coming war. These were the Neo-Crusaders led by the strategist Cassius Fett. As you may have guessed by now, Cathar was also in the Outer Rim. Another thing to note was that, at this time, the Mandalorians still believed in the prophecy of their last glorious battle, a story that foretold of one last glorious stand during which they would earn great honor. This prophecy, combined with the Mandalorians' spiteful vengefulness, made Cathar the prime target for their bloodthirsty outburst. But remembering their humiliating losses to the Cathar during the previous war, the Mandalorians didn't just conquer their world for its resources, they tried to erase it from existence. The Battle of Cathar was, to put it idly, a bloodbath. The Mandalorians gave no warning, and it was so early into the Mandalorian Wars that the Outer Rim territories hadn't wised up to their intentions yet. Mandalorian forces came out of hyperspace and struck hard, fast, and without mercy. From orbit, they first destroyed all interstellar communications relays and space dock facilities to make sure their Cathar victims could neither call for help nor flee their doomed planet. When they had trapped them on the surface, the Mandalorian fleet descended onto the planet, slaughtering most of the Cathar in their sleep or as they tried to flee. Basilisk war mounts decimated the more primitive settlements. This bloodbath wasn't enough to sate the Mandalorians' thirst for revenge, however. For their defeat in the past, it wasn't just enough to slaughter most of them and destroy their homes. The Mandalorians wouldn't be satisfied until they had killed every last one of them. When the battle was almost over, Cassius Fett had the survivors gathered and herded like cattle into the ocean where they were executed. He wasn't going to stop until every single Cathar was dead. Only a few refugee ships escaped, packed with any able-bodied Cathar that could survive the space voyage. These few shuttles were all that was left of the once proud race, and their home was left desecrated. The Cathar had been driven to the edge of extinction in one fell swoop. This was one of the many atrocities that swayed the Jedi Revan into action. When the Mandalorians first attacked the Outer Rim, the Republic had refused to act in the defense of neutral territories, and the Jedi Order had followed their lead. Outraged by the destruction the Mandalorians had wrought in the Outer Rim, Revan gathered a group of loyal followers and took on the Mandalorian scourge. On Cathar, the scene of their greatest ever atrocity, he found a discarded Mandalorian mask from a fallen warrior and took it as his own, a symbol of what they had sworn to defeat. The Battle of Cathar was what convinced many others to join Revan and his revanchists, even if the Jedi Council denounced them. In the face of true evil, the galaxy could not stay silent. After the Mandalorian Wars, Cathar slowly began returning to their homeworld and did their best to pick up the pieces. Even in the face of such unspeakable evil, the Cathar fought on, and by the time of the Galactic Civil War, they had managed to recover almost completely. Other species, however, were not so lucky. Those are stories for another day. What massacre in Star Wars history do you think left even more lasting damage than the Battle of Cathar? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below, and if there's any similar topics you'd like us to do. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.